I know this is a bit of a change to the program this morning, and but we have got amazing conversations, and Matilda is an incredible fundraiser and partnership consultant over at the Face Equality charity, which is the charity that Nikki is a patron for. So we're still able to shine a light on all of this amazing stuff and have really amazing conversations, and I'm very excited. So Matilda, welcome to the Silly Little Girls Club live from Sephora. This
Amazing.
So random.
I'm so sorry I'm not Nikki, but
no,
very happy to be here.
No, I think, this is what's so lovely about this podcast and about, getting together like this, is the conversations that you have, even the unexpected ones. I think sometimes I'm a big believer in everything happening for a reason, and things, they always seem to happen as they should. So I feel like maybe this was you were destined to be here today, and it was it. So when you was getting up at like God knows what time you had to get up this morning, because I know I had to get.
Glad I did my hair. Yes.
I was thinking that this morning. I was like, oh my gosh, if I'm late, what am I going to do? And I was like, I'm in Sephora, so actually it's fine. If just the samples are sampling, right? It's all good. But I thought we'd start off because I think it'd be really nice for the listeners and for our audience, because this is so weird, guys. Actually, I've never recorded with a live audience, so I'm like a bit nervous. So ignore my weird voice. How and what do you do at the Face Equality charity, and like how did you get into it, and like what does it mean to you really?
So I started working for Face Equality International just over a year ago. I had my 1 year anniversary with them a couple of weeks ago. And I had been aware of FEI, which it's shortened to, for a few years. I'm actually an ambassador for another facial difference charity, Smile Train, and it was just over a year ago. FEI had posted, we're looking for someone who can do fundraising and partnerships on their Instagram, and it was someone at Smile Train that sent me it and said, you should do this. And so I did, and here we are.
Oh my gosh.
So it's kind of, not quite yet a full circle moment. I'm still waiting for that to happen. I like trying to do circular things. But I was born with a cleft lip and palate, which means that there was my face and my nose and my mouth and my teeth. And for me personally, not everyone has this with a cleft, but also my ears were affected. So I've had many, many different surgeries from birth up until I think I finished my treatment. I think I was like 2021. So just as much as I can in I work for multiple different brands. I also work in hair and beauty, which is actually where I know Sam.
This is so weird. When Matilda walked in this morning, because obviously with Nikki not being here, we're like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And then Sabina was like, oh, well, Matilda's coming from FEI. And I was like, I didn't even put two and two together. And then when I saw her at the door, I was like, oh my God, I know her. Like, I was so grateful. Yeah. So it was like, perfect guest. But
glad.
Going into that, so what is it that really inspired you in that drive? Because obviously, when you are born with this facial difference, you finish your treatment. What is it that made you want to go into like really advocating for this, and rather than just being like, you know what, I'm just gonna, this has happened, I'm gonna do this, and then what is it that you were like, no, actually, I want to go in with these charities, I want to help, and I want to, shine a light on this sort of.
I mean, that's a great question, and I have these similar conversations with people, like through DMs. Like I've built up a lot of pen pals over the year, when I was a child growing up, even teenager, I didn't want anything to do with the facial difference community. I was like, I need to be normal. I need to fit in. I need to be accepted. Like if I go on one of these meetings or one of their summer camps, oh my God, I'm going to be isolating myself. That was what was going through my head. I didn't want to be seen as being different. So I did everything possible in my head to try and not be associated with my now known community. And it wasn't until kind of almost like receiving kind of, I suppose, like validating questions, either like out in public or on social media, like, oh, you're showing your life. as confident. You're not letting your cleft or your facial difference affect you. And it was those kind of things that made me start thinking. And then I started working actually in makeup, ex-makeup artist, but I worked for a competitor company, and for many years, and they let me kind of do what I want. So I actually hosted quite a lot of fundraisers with them, like in stores, and then that's when Smile Train found me, and then I have done multiple things with Smile Train. I've gone to Ethiopia and actually gone to the hospitals and seen the kids and the families there, which is incredible. And now I'm, apart from FEI, and I just like to be busy. I'm too busy. But I also sit on the DEI committee on British Beauty Council.
Oh wow.
So it's it's not a hobby. It's not. I don't even see it as a job. It's like, why wouldn't you do it? And for some reason, I've been given access and exposure to people who've got money, power, and influence. So if I can, plant some seeds and get them to help and change, I think, like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, why exactly?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, the work isn't difficult. It's the fight and the time everything takes. Yeah.
No, I can imagine. I think as well, like, yeah, it's those barriers, isn't it, that are just once you start getting in and you can start breaking them down, but actually it's like you need money, you need influence, and you need to be connected with those people. And it's like, how do you even begin to do that, I guess? And I suppose it's the work of like the FEI and other charities that really can help really get this message out there, and with help like brands like Sephora and stuff like that. And I think it'd be crazy if it's not to acknowledge that we actually are sat in like a beauty powerhouse like Sephora. And so I feel like we need to get a little bit real on the beauty chat of things. And like, has the industry actually changed, or do you ever think that like brands almost treat this inclusivity as a trend?
So I think, well, if we're talking UK, I actually think the UK beauty industry is quite a leader in terms of representation and diversity. In no way, we're not done. But I think when you look at other European countries, the USA, we are doing. We've made important strides, I think. So I think that shouldn't be. We should be celebrating how far we've come, while still, pushing on with other initiatives. I think working with Sephora has been really amazing for us at Face Equality International, because they have just opened their arms to us. There's been kind of no question, no bias, no like, okay, what we need to do this to tick a box. There hasn't been any of that exercise. It's just felt really natural and real. And I think you can get that from the customers. You can see their comments online, from staff where we've done events in store. We've had people in tears from doing events and talks, and the exposure to the people with influence is important, but the exposure and just getting the information, education out there to you guys on the ground is equally, if not more important, because we can all make decisions with our wallets. So you can shop, based on people's policies, on what they are actually doing. So you guys are very, very important.
Yeah, and having spaces like this, I guess, to shop in, and brands that really do show up when they need to be, and not just box tick. And then there is that element to say that if you find a brand that is box ticking, maybe we should just extort them and like get to ride that train and show them actually that what they're doing is wrong, but with the messaging behind is very important, because I think there is a lot of that goes on, like not just within like the facial difference community, it's like across the board with everything. I see a lot of that kind of thing happening, but I feel like that's a conversation for another day, not right now. But yes, it's quite interesting. So as part of Face Equality International, what does true beauty and inclusivity mean? That's a really big question, but
So I would say, truthfully, that Face Equality International, we don't have a written statement on that. But what we do say is that, we've been working tirelessly. We are actually technically a startup. We started in 2018.
Oh, really?
So, we're doing pretty good stuff in that amount of time. But, what does true beauty and inclusivity mean? It means that everyone can see themselves, can be themselves without judgment, and to feel like they're being celebrated. Yeah. One of my favorite quotes, actually, from FEI's CEO, Phillida, is "You cannot be what you cannot see," and that is like I kind of replay that in my head quite a lot, because to me it just makes so much sense. I've worked in the beauty industry more than half of my life. And something I keep saying is I'm yet to be sold a lipstick by someone with a cleft. But why not?
Oh, yeah, why not?
Oh, hello.
I was having a little test outside.
That was my echo.
Like, literally, I was like, oh my God. Okay, well, that's let's just check it's not a fire alarm. I don't think it is. We probably know about that, but that's alarm. Fine. Okay. But yeah, going back to that, I think it is that lack of representation across like fashion and beauty, isn't it? Especially in terms of like, the faces of like brands and of companies and team members. And do you think that is, do you think that, would you ever feel like, as somebody that's grown up with a facial difference, would you ever like not put yourself in that position, where you're like on a beauty counter, not you specifically, because I know you're an ex-makeup artist, but do you ever think that could play a part into it, and hopefully we can help build people's confidence to be like, you know what, give me the makeup, give me the lipstick, and I can help show other people. I don't know if that's part of it as well.
I think that is definitely part of it. I mean, I am ex-makeup artist, so this is what I wanted my bedroom to look like one day. But that was not by accident. I left school very young. School wasn't for me for multiple reasons, for being out quite a lot with hospital appointments, but also people just not knowing what to do with me. I think the cleft issues masked like some mental health issues that I was having. So it was like, no one knew what to do with me. So I left school very young, and makeup for me became like armor. And it was over many, many years, and reflecting and therapy and all the things, that it's not for me anymore. It's not armor. It's like dopamine dressing.
Expression.
It's and it is fun and it should be light. But I know so many people with various different visible differences who rely on makeup for them to get out the house, to feel confident, and that also shouldn't be a shameful thing. Like, that's fantastic. If you've got a broken leg, you wear a crutch, so you're like, that's fine. So I think it's that accessibility that, no matter why you want to use makeup, it should be available to you. I think the question on specifically on the beauty counters, which is something Sephora UK is doing with Face Equality International in this upcoming year. So I won't say too much, but we are working on a specific something that will hopefully affect people on the shop floor. And my first experience on a makeup counter, I think I was like 12 or 13. And my mum, very strict mother, no makeup allowed in the house, all of this. And I'm the youngest of 4 girls and the only one with a facial difference. And I wanted makeup, but none of my sisters had ever been allowed. But I was allowed because of my cleft.
I also feel that the younger sister always gets away with everything as well.
Yeah,
I mean, definitely.
I've accepted now that I'm probably the favourite, but I think that's taken quite some time. I wasn't for a while, definitely. I think I'm probably actually the most low maintenance now, surprisingly. But I remember my mum said I could go to a makeup counter, and you know how you can you buy your products to get the makeover free. Oh my God, I was so excited and sat down. I had no idea what to do, what I wanted. You know, you had this had this image in my head of what it was going to be like, and it's going to be amazing. And it wasn't.
Oh.
And the lady who was doing my makeup, the first thing she said was, right, we better cover that up first. And I was like, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You know? And so that completely, that was not good.
No, that is not good, is it? And I think I mean, hopefully now people have a bit more common sense about them. I mean, difficult for me to. I've never experienced anything like with that, so I wouldn't relate. But I just don't. Just if someone sat in my chair as a hairdresser, I won't be like, babes, let's get a fringe and cover everything
cut
up.
that off.
Like it's just not. It's just no empathy there, is there? And like no understanding and compassion. And I just think, is that something that you have had to face? I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think people make assumptions, you know, and we all do it, you know, and it's just the thought can come, fine, address the thought, but it's when you let the thoughts take over and it comes out, you can't take that back.
No.
And I think that questions are always better than assumptions. If you don't know what to say, ask. You know, you can't. I don't believe you can ask a wrong question if you have the right intent behind it.
Yeah.
And I believe that Sephora, their staff and their customers, definitely, everyone that I've come across in the past year has definitely had good intentions and asked really great questions as well.
And I think we have to ask questions to get the answers, right? And like to learn, because that is how we, you know, better ourselves and better those experiences for everybody. And I think that sort of as a hairdresser, I know it sounds a bit silly, but like I would welcome like education and sort of that knowledge on how to ask certain questions and navigate, and what language to like avoid, and what a language is like, you know, considered like the right way of saying things, because you constantly live in fear as well, and it's like you want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable, so you can actually have a safe space to have these really amazing conversations and push things forwards in the right way.
I think the your comment on fear is, I think, really relevant. I think social media has had a huge part to play in that, and people are so scared of being cancelled that they'd rather not say anything at all. And actually having that real human connection that's just like priceless, I think, to me. And you know, even as someone with a facial difference, I don't know everything about facial differences. And you know, if I'm not getting asked the questions, I can't find out what I don't know to then, you know, hopefully expand my knowledge to keep sharing these education. And the term facial difference was created by Face Equality International. We coined it because we wanted to have an inclusive way of our community to be able to address themselves. And FEI we are a UK based charity, but we actually have a huge membership of other non-profits around the world, all representing different types of specific facial differences. And you know, we consult them on language, and I think, you know, let's maybe do this again in a couple of months, because I think the US, what's happening over there right now with DEI and everything is quite scary. And you know, some of our US members have had funding pulled like overnight.
Wow.
No paperwork, no nothing. And we are in America, we are still a checkbox, and that checkbox is being erased right now.
That is, I mean, that is a whole episode for another day, isn't it? Like my best friend's in Texas, and she's like a full-on proper Brit, like, you know, I want to use the word normal, as like, you know, like has views that are very aligned with everybody else in the UK, and it's like she has to navigate that whole landscape. And when she rings me up and she's like outraged, like there's some of the things that she's like hearing being spoken, like it's just wild. And I'm just like, my God, I can't even begin to imagine what that must feel like for people that are over there in those like groups and in those check boxes, because like you should never have to be pigeonholed anyway, but like good old Donald doing his absolute damnedest to fuck everything up. But
Yeah, that's I say that to my sis. I've got a twin sister, and I'm like, the only pigeonhole I want to be in is the one with my name on it. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's unbelievable. But I think this can kind of open us up to a bigger conversation, because very excited that the Facial Equality International are off to speak at the UN in
Yes,
Geneva,
we are.
which is major. Like, from at first, I mean, consider startup.
Yeah.
I mean, this is major. Like, it's a huge thing to be able to go and advocate for change at the UN. So, and I know you've been a big part of getting that to fruition and to actually happen. So I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about that.
So this is very, very exciting. So the UN, they have well, they have many, many activities, but so they invited us to speak. They actually invited Nikki Lilly as our patron to speak on their upcoming panel, which is on the 10th of March. We're not sure about what we're allowed to film and stuff over there, so I'm not going to promise to tune in, but we will definitely post what we can. So she will be speaking on a panel specifically about cyberbullying and representing persons with disabilities with appearance affecting conditions. So the UN, they've got problems like every other institute, but they are doing amazing, amazing things. And without them, we would, as an organization focused on policy change and campaigning, without the UN's backing or support, it would be more difficult and challenging for us to be able to actually affect real change in law and policy around the world. So I'm very, very excited. And if you cut this out, fine. But just in case if you don't, I want to thank one of our sponsors, the Mandarin Oriental Hotel, who are helping us, our team, get to the UN. Obviously, as a charity, everything costs money, and Switzerland ain't cheap.
Yeah.
So no, we're very, very excited, and I think Nikki, I've seen the first draft of her speech, and it's incredible. I think there might be some tears, and there'll definitely be some change.
Let's hope. Yeah. I mean, what an incredible thing to be part of. And yeah, I think advocating for, like, especially all of the change against cyberbullying and like what that entails, because I've never been more grateful to have grown up without social media.
Yeah.
And I just think, kids nowadays, what they have to face, and it's just crazy. And like, more has to be done, doesn't it, to safeguard everybody across, the whole thing. I think, it's not all bad, because obviously social media and digital activism can have like astronomically good impacts on things, but it's how do we regulate that, and how do we make sure that people are protected. And it's like, I was going to obviously ask Nikki, because I know that she's spoken about like cyberbullying and things like that, but is that anything that you've been affected by with that as well?
So I've had various comments on social media, whether it's in DMs. Usually people aren't that polite. They'll just tip publicly for everyone to see. There's hair lip, there's alien, there's, was it a car crash? I've probably had more comments about how I talk, because I've had lots of speech therapy, but because of my cleft, I was born partially deaf, and I only have one working nostril, so I have done a lot of work on my elocution, and even hearing yourself back, I'm like, oh god, that was a bad clefty, if you can't understand what I'm saying. And I remember, was it a couple of years ago, and I had this kind of big back and forth, and it was actually a makeup artist who commented, and she was like, oh, love the look, just shame about the lip. And I was like, that's so lazy. And we did a campaign with Zebedee Talent Agency. If you don't know, Zebedee is an amazing inclusive talent agency, one of the largest kind of non-abled and diverse talent agencies. I know in the UK, I don't know about the world. I want to say the world. Let's get them there. But they did a partnership. They are one of our partners at Face Equality International, and they did a model call out open casting for people with visible differences. And there was a fantastic influx of people and new faces and people who would never have had that opportunity otherwise. And actually, Sephora had quite a lot of their faces in a campaign last summer in stores, which was just incredible. And I remember seeing some of those comments, and we're quite a small team at FEI, and we do take it in turns to try and monitor comments, and if we need to report, we do. And on one particular post with some of the models on this campaign, there was over 1,000 negative comments on TikTok, and some of them were, like, you should die. If I looked like that, I would kill myself. And some of, it just goes on and on and on. And now with the new functionality of that, you can comment a GIF. Some of those GIFs are not very nice. And they are even more difficult to monitor that.
Because you can't filter those words, can you? You can't filter them.
No.
My God.
And these guys, some of them are, they're young girls. It's their first time kind of modeling. This should be an amazing celebratory moment, and they're being told to kill themselves.
My God.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you
It's
get
dangerous.
it's so dangerous.
Yeah.
You like, it's all too. As a hairdresser, obviously I'm connected to a lot of people. I have a lot of clients in my chair, and it's all too often that I hear like clients' daughters and stuff that have tried to take their lives and things like that, and it's just and that's from bullying, like, I hate to say the regular type of bullying, but just kids being assholes at school to each other, and like, I can't even imagine how like it must feel when it's about something that you can't even control, and it's like, it should be just something that's accepted, and it's just crazy. I mean, at what point do the social platforms have to be held accountable for stuff like this? Because it's just wild that they just are allowed to let people post this, like TikTok specifically. I mean, as a millennial, I'm kind of biased and don't like TikTok anyway, but I just find it such a toxic place for like comments. I post one video about someone's hair and it was like, she looked better before. You're like, oh. And it's
thanks for your feedback.
Why bother typing that? Like, what is wrong with you in your day that you need to go off and do that? But it's just like, hopefully doing these sort of like getting to the UN and shining a light on things like this will have to at some point make people accountable and make these companies accountable for like monitoring it and stopping people being able to do this. It's like unbelievable. It's crazy. And speaking of like, like tech and AI things that I hadn't, until I was doing like research on like questions and sort of talking points for this, I never even considered. I mean, this is how important things like this are, because I had never even considered things like tech and AI bias against people with facial differences. Like, that needs to be on people's radars. Like, I'm like super empowered now after like doing all this Googling.
Love it. I'm loving the energy.
How? It's like all of these things that I just hadn't, I feel guilty, and I'm sure the people will do, for not even having that thought that this is a thing, and it's like a huge thing.
I mean, I definitely don't want you feeling guilty. Do the opposite. Don't feel guilty. Feel, motivated. So AI is an issue for people with facial differences. We did at FEI, we did some research last year specifically into AI and facial recognition software. We just published the data and findings less than a month ago. If you're interested, you can download that report for free on our website. And we sent the report to some major tech companies for a response, but also to invite them to partner and actually, work on a solution to this. We haven't had any responses yet. So let's see. That is part of my role. There's partnerships, trying to find people to work with us. So one of the kind of major findings in this research was, and I'm going to get the percentage wrong, so I will say around about 30% of people with facial differences said that on their smartphone they were unable to use their Face ID because it didn't recognize that there was a face, that there was a person there. So, imagine, it's 2025. Your life is on that phone, not just social media, your banking, your family, everything. Your car, your insurance, your apps, your everything is on there, and you can't get in. And then, a lot of people with appearance affecting conditions might have impaired eyesight or impaired vision. So they
put a number into your phone. Yeah.
Oh my God, it annoys me. And things like, let's say they get past the first Face ID, but then their banking app says, sorry, no human detected.
Oh my God. And it's so archaic anyway. Yeah. Like, it's like trying to drag them into this century.
And then what about when you want to tell social media about your experience, and social media says, oh, this content is sensitive content. This cannot be seen for children because your face they can't recognize it as a face.
That is unbelievable. Yeah. And like you say, like in this day and age with all the tech that we've got now, and this is like, I mean, it must surely, I mean, again, being naive, surely this is just a programming thing where they could invest in programmers to come and make it so this is
not naive at all. That's 100% what it is.
Oh, really?
They actually have to train the AI. They have to train the software to recognize all different face shapes, skin tones, hair types, everything. And it's an additional cost to add in, the 10 to 20% of us living with visible differences in their software. And then just
go back to a lot of these tech companies being perhaps based in like Silicon Valley, where they don't, they're not
they see this as a DEI program. They don't see it as a consumer-led program. And we got money. Yeah. I want to spend some money. Help me.
Yeah. Take my money.
Yeah.
Like, but in the right way.
Yeah. Like, I remember I did a panel with British Beauty Council recently, and one of the audience questions was, but look at all the beauty AI software that you can change your hair color, or you can try on lipstick. And I was like, yeah, but what if it doesn't think that I've got a face to try on lipstick?
Yeah.
Like, that's very good, but you haven't trained it to my face, to how different people can look. So that was, it's funny. People get offended when they're like, no, but I am doing this. And it's like, no, you are. That's great. It just needs to be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you need to do better.
You need to do better.
My gosh, it's just like, so, I mean, for Monday morning, this is such an amazing, like, I feel so fired up for the week now. I'm just like, right, we need to go and get it. And touching on, I know we've touched negatively on social media and stuff like that, but actually it is a force for good when it's used right. Like, to be able to spread messaging, to be able to build community, and to be able to bring people together in the right way. Other than getting people together in a room, there really isn't a better way than to be able to do that, and a more accessible way and a more affordable way, providing you can get into your phone. Come on, Apple, like, seriously, like, crazy. But yeah,
I think that's a fantastic point. And like you, millennial, I'm so glad that my childhood is nowhere to be found.
My God, you know what? Yeah, you think about some of those Facebook albums that got posted in the early noughties, and since been archived.
Yes,
like I thank Facebook for giving me those, the memories feature.
Oh yeah.
Because like they would all flash up and I could delete them before anyone would see.
Yeah, 100%. So, I actually should probably do that.
I mean,
but there is a lot of hate and there's a lot of problems. But it's such an amazing, powerful tool to be able to get your message across, whatever that might be, and to educate, because, whether it's 10 million people that see, I always think, if one person can take something good from that, I think we're getting somewhere. Yeah. And for me, social media was, for me personally, such a fantastic tool of for me, of personal growth and healing, because I got to find my community again.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting, because going back to what you said at the start was like, you shied away and just wanted to be not seen and not like considered different, but actually missing out on that community and like that whole world of people that can relate, and you can inspire one another and support one another. I think that's a really special part of social media and connection, isn't it? And I think it'd be nice to hear from you, like, advice on, to anybody listening that is still in that space where they're not, ready to accept themselves, and they're feeling like, they still need that armor and like they still need that. What kind of advice would you give to somebody about, you know, finding confidence and finding community?
Yeah. I think for what worked for me was which I don't know if it's good advice or not, you can let me know, but something that my dad always said was fake it till you make it. And you know, there was definitely a good kind of few years kind of coming out of teenager years where I didn't know who I was, I didn't know who I wanted to be either, and it was like, right, I'll just try on a few different, you know, a few different faces. And it was, you know, sometimes the makeup was not good and sometimes the hair was not good, but that's okay. You know, it was just kind of allowing yourself to kind of fail. I definitely felt moving away from my hometown helped me,
Right.
but I'm not telling anyone else you have to up sticks and move. But it helped me, you know. It was moving from Scotland to London. The anonymity of London was quite freeing. And, you know, everyone says, oh, you know, everyone in London isn't friendly. No, we are friendly. We're just in a rush. Okay.
Yeah. And nobody notices anything, do they?
Right. No one cares. No one judges you. Like everyone's too busy. So that was great for me. That worked for me.
Yeah. I do love the anonymity of London. It's so great. Like literally nobody gives a crap, do they, what you're doing. It's great. And then if you could go back and tell, you know, that 13-year-old you, like anything that you've learned along the way now, what would it be?
Wow.
Because I keep seeing this trend. It's like I had coffee with my 16-year-old self and she turned up wearing like, you know, whatever she was wearing and ordered this drink. And I'm like, God, this is so cool. I don't want to think about having coffee with 16-year-old me. But like, if you could go back. So yeah, maybe let's reframe this question. If you could go back and have a coffee with 15-year-old Matilda, what would you tell her?
God. Well, we'd sort out the eyebrows first and then... and not good. Gosh, I think it would just be to try and like myself. You know, you're okay. You're doing okay.
Yeah,
that's enough for now. Like you're a kid.
Yeah. Enjoy it and try and it's difficult, isn't it? But yeah. Anyway, I feel like I've covered everything that I wanted to ask you. I like grilled you for 45 minutes straight and made you all sit there in perfect silence. Thank you, everybody. What I did think before we finish is if anybody did have any questions, I thought we'd open it up and see, because like normally it's just me making people sit in a soundproofed room with Harper and the guys. So if anybody does have any questions, we'd be more than happy to answer, but no pressure. Anyone? Oh, let's throw it to you first. So what does female empowerment mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I'm youngest of 4 girls. Now we hate each other a lot, but we also love each other a lot. And, you know, that's the same for like my girlfriends or like whether it's actually male or female colleagues, but it's just, you know, giving people space and opportunity to succeed. Actually not giving them the space to fail, because no, we don't have time for that. We all just need to lift each other up and be proud of each other. Even if we don't know each other, you're doing great. Look, you're here. Your hair is brushed. You've got lip balm on. Like, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Like, guys, it's very early on a Monday and we're all looking fantastic.
Well, I mean, I did
like, we should be proud of ourselves. Like, you know, a couple of my sisters have got kids and I'm like, oh my God, you know, bow down, because the UK has not made it very easy for women having kids. That's another podcast.
Yeah, isn't it? Podcast.
But just, you know, celebrate each other. Yeah.
No, I couldn't agree more. I think for me, like, female empowerment is, I mean, it's multifaceted. For me, it's about being able to do what I want, when I want, and like how I want, and not have to answer to anybody. And I think it's also about that sisterhood and being connected to each other, even if you don't know somebody. I think cheerleading people and, you know, unconditionally. And, you know, we've all got that part of us inside that's sometimes like, oh, why are they doing that? And then you actually think no, and it's having that mental thing to like, actually no, like you're doing that. It's like, you know, I always think in January specifically, like a really like thing that I see people running and they've clearly taken up running and they're not very good at it, and I'm like, you can't help yourself think sometimes like, oh, you're okay, and then actually like, no, they are okay, they are doing it, they're up, they're out, and like, you know, like mentally just being like, yeah, go you. And I feel like for me that kind of summarizes a little bit of like what International Women's Day is about, and just celebrating, you know, the things and the triumphs that we can achieve when you do it together. And I think that's it. But yeah, anybody other questions? No? Anybody want more breakfast? Anybody got to go to work? No, I think, yeah, we'll wrap it there. So
amazing. Well, thank you so much.
Oh God, thank you so much for standing in. Like, that was, can you imagine being morning and being like, Nikki's really poorly, we've got a podcast to do, surprise, you're the guest.
Yeah, I parked and I had like 14 messages. Nikki's not well. Can you do it? I was like, oh, okay, no problem.
We're doing it. And it's so nice. So thank you. I'm so grateful. And I'm so grateful for you guys for all coming on.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us early start.
There is goodie bags and, you know, Sephora. So yeah, get to it and have a lovely day. And thank you so much. Oh, did you? Oh, well done, husband. Yeah. Oh. Well, you know, we all need someone to carry the bags. Thank you, guys. Brilliant. While I have you, it would really help me out if you could just hit follow or subscribe, depending on which platform you're getting your podcast from, and I can keep bringing you these amazing conversations with these incredible guests. And yeah, I will see you next week on the Silly Little Girls Club.